You are always remembered for what you stood for, not for what you fell for. What is change? Write this down. Change is to deviate from a set of references. No change is more important or dangerous than uncontrolled change, unregulated change, change that is not wise. The only key we have, therefore, to regulating and controlling change is we have to plan the change. I put it to you that change can develop or destroy. Say it with me. Change can develop or destroy. Absolutely. So we got to be careful when we talk about change. Now, we want to change, we want to improve things, but we must never forget that change must have some boundaries within which things change. You know, change is like when you go home and you decide that you want to rearrange your house. You don't remove the walls, do you? You change the furniture. You move them around. See, that's change. That's the kind of change God allows you to do. You can reorganize the furniture, but don't touch the walls. Why? The walls are what we call boundaries. And they are built on what? Foundations. And you touch the walls of life, you are canceling the house. Can I submit to you a simple thought? Here's the thought. Remember this. The only key we have, therefore, to regulating and controlling change is we have to plan the change. And the ability to plan is God's gift to us because we can regulate the future. And planning is man's proactive response to the inevitable nature of change. We can plan how to respond to inevitable change. We can actually regulate the change, but we must do it within boundaries. No change is more important or dangerous than uncontrolled change, unregulated change, change that is not wise. I want to show you something. This is very important too. The most uncontrollable power on earth is change. That's true. But what is change? Write this down. Change is to deviate from a set of references. Change is what? To deviate from a set reference. In other words, change is to move away from a norm. It is normal for a tree to be put in soil. Is that normal? Yes. So if you decide to take the tree out of the soil because you feel like it, you're violating a norm. Change, therefore, is to transition from a set state. You cannot change unless you know the original state. So you cannot just change because you feel like changing. You got to first decide what is the original stake in the ground. In other words, change means to violate some rules. What are those rules? Let me just caution you. There are some rules you ain't supposed to violate. So we shouldn't just be experimenting with change. We might be touching the rules that shouldn't be moved. I heard an announcement 3 days ago that one of the persons who ran in the Boston Marathon didn't finish. So they were running to finish it 2 days ago. And they asked him why. He said, because I have to be able to say, I finished it. I was so impressed with that spirit. In other words, I ain't got to win. Oh, y'all missed the point. He said, I ain't got to win. I got to be able to say, I stood. I finished. What are you standing for? Let it be known on that force that you didn't compromise your convictions for nobody. No commander. You are always remembered for what you stood for, not for what you fell for. I want you to find someone in history who compromised and I'll give you $25. History never remembers those who compromised. It remembers those who stood for a conviction. That's why we can't forget Martin Luther King. He said, put me in jail. That's why we can't forget Mr. Mahatma Gandhi. He said, put me in jail. That's why we can't forget Mr. Mandela. He said, put me in jail. What are you going to go to jail for? Can I put it this way? If you're going to change something, make sure you don't change the original law. Change is impossible without an original reference. In other words, original reference is the original source or the original stake or the original point or the original law or the original principle. And you cannot touch the original. This whole generation we are living in every country, is a generation of change. Everybody want to change stuff. And no one's questioning, saying, wait a minute, what are we changing from? Are we tampering with things that shouldn't be moved? This is the question. We have to deal with this question. In other words, we need to find what I call true north. Write it down. True north is the original state. True north. It's a very important term, true north. Everyone who has a compass have to work with true north. No matter where you turn in a compass, it goes back to north. You can turn any direction, it goes back to north. And that is your safety. North protects you from creating your own north. And God built into creation north. And no mariner, no sailor, no professional, no PhD with 5 degrees could change north. If you give the smartest man in the world a compass, the compass still ignores him. It goes north. If you are lost, you find north. If you are confused, you find north. The problem is we are moving north. We're trying to shift north. If you move north, you are lost forever. North gives you direction. I'll say it again. North gives you direction. Without north, you have no direction. Without truth principles, without the original stake, you end up with these words: lost, confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disoriented, and bewildered. That sounds like your country, doesn't it? I tried to define America the other day, and these are the words I came up with. I tried to define England the other day. These are the words I came up with. I tried to define China. These are the words I came up with. I tried to define Holland and Amsterdam. My God, that's what I came up with. I tried to define South Africa. This is the words I came up with. Everybody seemed to be unclear, disoriented, perplexed, and they are making decisions. Did y'all listen to the news the last week? 5 governments was changed before the time. 5 countries had a change of government before the term was up. We are perplexed. Do you know what that means? That means we don't know who we want to lead us. No election is secure. That's what it means. You can win an election and be fired in 2 years. Because the people are so disoriented. They are demanding change even before the change is due. What a world we live in. But here's the solution. Please write this down. This is important. I'll give you a verse of scripture. Deuteronomy 28 verse 28 says, if you walk away from my laws, the Lord will afflict you with madness, blindness, and confusion of mind. You will be unsuccessful in everything you do. This is in the Bible. Read that in Parliament.